Kia ora, ko Jade toko ingoa, and I would love to talk about my experience with Monique with the one-on-one coaching, as well as with the Sally Sacred Art of Loving Yourself course that Monique has. I signed up as I was going through a rough patch in my relationship of being triggered and having these issues or negative experiences in my body that I didn't know how to deal with. So when arguments would occur, I would just have this shutting down experience. I would put the blame on myself, but also my partner a lot, which just kind of egged on like a lot of other arguments because I had them stored and suppressed. I don't think I really knew how to process or alleviate or really how to deal with the intense frustration that would come up in my body. So yeah, it would usually lead to suppression and then just moving on with life, everyday life, because obviously it got so busy. But I was looking for a way to deal with these emotions. I knew that there would have to be an experience of being able to be in a relationship and not be so triggered or feel like that constantly. Just this uncomfortable feeling in my stomach of I'm wrong, feeling guilty, feeling shame, and just not knowing how to overcome simple arguments and just having my mind not shut up about what the case is and who's right or wrong. So when I started doing Monique's free courses, she had one on being triggered in relationships, and it completely fulfilled my call. I felt like this is for me. This has been brought to me. And initially when I called, I was hesitating because I had never invested this kind of time and mahi, this energy and work into myself. But I knew that this is what I needed if I wanted to progress into a lot of other areas of my life, as well as have a deeper relationship with my partner. Like if I was just poked at a little bit, I would just explode emotionally, internally, and I didn't want those explosions to happen. I wanted to navigate how to be calm and deal with things a bit more easily. Working with Monique has been so beautiful. It's been so beautiful. Our first one-on-one coaching session, I had a lot of breakthroughs and quite a few breakdowns. It felt like I was identifying the parts of myself that were protecting the potential, like it was just blocking it essentially, but I wasn't conscious of it. And I felt like when we went through this visualization practice, I just felt this huge release of when I was able to take that protection that's coming from the survival mode, from where those initial reactions were coming from, and it just felt like it was seen and there was a light put on it and it just dropped. And there were a lot of different emotions coming out, and from then on it was just experience after experience of re-meeting these parts of myself that have been lost or not acknowledged at all, if not for a very long time since I had experienced them when I was in high school or in my primary school years. But it's felt like I've been able to get to know myself on such a deeper level with Monique. It's really helped that I can feel like I can relate to her and her story with her relationship and her own personal experiences. That's been able to just create a deeper connection for her. The biggest changes I think have been receiving absolute abundance from the external, as well as the feeling internally, right? So when I started doing the work with the Sally program and then having this consistent one-on-one coaching, I was out of full-time job for 2 months, and during that time I think it was yeah, Monique was really helpful towards me to allow us to work as much as we could together, and I think it was really needed. I felt like I fast-tracked a lot of my self-worth in that time. And then I attracted something that I had written down word for word on paper at the beginning of this year of what I wanted to feel like in a job, what I wanted it to look like, but I have no any experience in it. But I got that job that I had asked for, and then a lot of little opportunities similar to that came through, as well as I was in financial struggle, and then that kind of flipped, and it's been a lot more abundant than it used to be. So it's those small little changes, as well as like personally feeling a lot stronger and a lot more confident and a lot more knowing of my worth now that I've been meeting these aspects of myself through the work, through the one-on-one coaching especially. But I just feel more and more familiar with the core of who I am, because I'm getting to the core of not just the good bits of Jade, of me. I'm getting to the nitty-gritty, like, you know, shameful, hidden parts of me, which, yeah, I wouldn't have known how to navigate if I wasn't in this space. So, yeah, that's really helped with me on a personal level. And it's just, I mean, rippled out to my partnership with my partner as well. And there'll be some times in the beginning where I wouldn't have to say anything, because sometimes like words would not be the remedy for our situation. But I felt like, so I didn't have the expectations of us working against each other. It was more like I had the belief in myself, and I was looking at it of doing the same to my partner's inner child and centering love into his field, rather than what he's going to do to fuck up this time. What is he going to do to stuff up this time? What is he going to do? Oh, we are going to, like, the expectations just were replaced with something so much more loving and authentic to how I genuinely feel about my partner. And I energetically felt that shift of our conversations, the way that we looked at each other, the knowingness of, okay, we don't need to say anything, but I can see you, and I see you, and I acknowledge you, and it just feels like we've got patience to feel each other's spaces out and honor where we're at, and it just feels like it's naturally growing. Yes, I would absolutely recommend this program. One thing that's been so beautiful and so loving is I travelled back to Australia, living currently in New Zealand, Wellington, and saw my whānau, saw my friends, which I haven't seen in over a year. And it was just amazing to see and feel that recognition of where I'm at on an emotional, mature sense, and a spiritual, and just a, you know, I mean, they verbally told me, but I could see even the way that people would respond to my truth, because I am very direct about it now, and I really own up to my needs and have boundaries, like very honorable of my own boundaries. And now that I really am conscious of what my conversations with people, it became really transparent of the difference within me from, yeah, those interactions and those experiences that I've recently had over there. That was really cool. That was really cool, because I've just been living life here, growing this strength and authentic self, and it's just been happening within life. And of course, being in a new space, being in a new mahi, being in new circles of groups, people don't know they haven't seen the past even like 4 months ago, right? So I didn't really notice this exponential growth until I went to Australia, and I was like, whoa, this feels very different. This was very different to how I used to handle and be triggered and just take and cop and do for others. It was a shift, very, very huge gap between those shifts of me being really clear and strong of my needs and who I am, and like, you know, how I operate now. So that's why I'd recommend it. You can definitely see the results, and you can feel the abundance that comes out of this work. And it's just, everything becomes beautiful, the negative, the positive, whatever we label it in this universe. It just feels like the whole process is all meant to be unfolding exactly the way that it's meant to be, as Monique very much reminds, you know, myself and the community. And you can see what she means by that once you've gone through the changes. Yeah, that it's just all beautiful. It's all beautiful. The hard, gross, ugly, the hysterical laughing at God knows what from releasing of something from inside. It's just, it's all so beautiful. Yeah, that's the kind of experience I've had from it. And I know that when my friends ask me what's happened and how I've shifted, I'd mention this. So 10 out of 10 if you don't want to be on a loop anymore, if you want to break some patterns in your subconscious and live a more authentic, responsive rather than reactive life, I would recommend working with Monique for sure.